Hi everyone, Angus Campbell here, Monday the 24th of May 2025. Right, the Rocket 3 needs a service. Now it is a fairly frequent rider every year, but after a few events and rides out last year, I noticed that a problem that it's always had to a certain extent, but was getting much worse, is that it's difficult to start, and it's only really starting up on two cylinders on the right and centre pots. And the left-hand pot, it seems to be too lean, and it requires warming up significantly on full choke. Otherwise the left pot cuts out, and occasionally it spits as well. So that's indicating either it's too lean or the ignition might be a little too advanced on the left-hand pot. I think it's carb related, and a number of people have suggested maybe check the float level, which I will do. I did have the carbs off last year, just looking into it a little bit, and I did ultrasonically clean the carbs, make sure the pilot jets were all clean, etc. So I don't think it's that, but we will check that too. But anyway, it needs a general service. So that's going to entail, first of all, drain the oil out of the sump, because it'll have sumped its oil as it hasn't been run for a few months. We'll do that.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
And what we'll do then is work methodically through it. I'm going to check, I'm going to take the seat off, check that all the connections to the coils, etc. are okay, just to rule out any misdemeanors on that side. And then we'll go through tappets, check the points. I probably won't change the oil because the oil should be all right, but we'll see when I drain the sump. All the cables, check the tyre pressures, adjust the front, adjust the brakes if necessary. Yeah, just a simple oil service. So let's get cracking. First job, drain the oil. And we'll see if we can do that without Siri interrupting this time. Right, sumped oil drained, most of the tank, which I expected. I mean, it looks a little used. It probably looks worse than it is, actually. Not too bad, but actually, you know what? I think I'm going to change it. I've got plenty of oil in stock. So let's just do that and do it properly. Right, I've been going around the bike, just doing inspecting and taking covers off some bits and pieces. So I knew that I had a little bit of an oil leak causing this to happen and running down. I think it's from there, so I've tightened that up. But obviously what we'll do as well is, I've got the tappet covers off, is we'll check these Allen screws here are tight. It's definitely going to be tight at the back because you've got your head bolts there which are torqued down. But we'll just make sure they're tight, and we'll put new gaskets on there anyway. So we've got tappet covers off. We've got the points cover off. And obviously it's very busy in there as standard. Oh yeah, sorry, I'll hold it steady a bit. But looks pretty clean. We'll check the gaps on that. And we might do a static time as well, but it should be all right. Just the lower, where are we, set of points. This one here looks as though I've over-oiled it a bit on the felt above. I'll just clean that a bit. Now I've taken the plugs out. So as we look at them here, we've got left, centre, right. Left one is the pot we're having trouble with firing up, and that plug looks wet to me. I don't think we've got a fuel problem on that side. I think it's ignition. And when I took the spark plug cap off on that left-hand plug, the centre fell out. And if you look at this closely, let's try and get it to focus a bit. There we go. Can you see that black line. That's where it's been turning and arcing. Sorry, it's not focusing too well. There we go, that's better. You see that black line there? So that's not going to do it any favours as well. You're going to lose the ability to get a good spark at the plug if you're losing some of the energy at that point. So that's done. We'll change the spark plug cap. I've got those in stock. I've got plenty of plugs in stock, N3, N4. It's N3 on this. Or B8ES NGKs, I think it is. On this side, I've just got the cover off for the primary chain, but the primary chain feels great actually. Difficult seeing there, but I think it's you allow a little bit of movement on it, and that feels good actually. It's taut, but there's a little bit, so I think we're okay with that. Brake adjustment is fine. I'll check clutch adjustment when we're down on the ground, but I didn't do that too long ago. So what I've decided to do is, once I've finished the initial part of the servicing, i.e. tappets, points, refilling with oil, checking the oil in the gearbox. Don't need to check the oil in the primary chain because that's fed from the crankcase. Rear chain, I'll probably have a go at firing up. What I will do on the carbs, I won't take them off just yet. I'm going to take the air screws out and I'll just check that the pilot jets are clear. I'm absolutely sure they will be, because it wasn't that long ago that, as I say, that I actually ultrasonically cleaned these. But I've got the little tiny drill bit that you can use to gently tease out any crud from the pilot jet. And is it a 0.78 or 0.75? I can never remember, but you'll find it online. I think it's 0.78. Tiny anyway, but obviously what you want to do is make sure you don't open that that jet out. Right, so what we're going to do first, the job I always hate, is we'll do the tappets. Now, can I remember off the top of my head? I think it's 8 thou exhaust, 6 thou inlet. But I'll tell you what, let's check the book. Right, so here's the 71. Well, it says 750cc model, which of course later on in 71 could have been the Rocket 3 or the A70L Lightning 750. But be assured, whenever it says just 750cc model on the front, it means the Rocket 3. So yeah, technical data, I was right. Get the right page. There we go. 6 thou inlet, 8 thou exhaust, so we're right on that. And then, just to let you know, a bit later on in the book, it does tabulate, you know, routine maintenance side of it. Just get that clear off. There you go. So basically, we're doing most of what it says in a 2,000 mile service. The only thing I've probably missed really is check the battery acid level, which I will do anyway. But that's quite helpful. Right, there's the technique with the spanner and the Allen key. Some of these aren't the original tappets because I had to change one or two because they'd stripped when I checked the motor over upon purchase all those years ago. The original ones are like this with a square block end, for which you use sometimes one of these tools, but they're not very clever, and I think they're too sloppy. So there's a little spanner I use for those. Anyway, the news is that these are tight. I've had to slacken this one off. There was hardly any play in that. I've just done a quick, field check on the centre one before I do it, and there's no gap. So that's probably an indication of the valves settling in since the rebore stroke top end rebuild, which is probably about 750 miles ago now. So it's a good job of checking these, and that's probably could be another contributor to poor starting. If there's a little tiny leakage in the valves, obviously you just hope then that none have been burnt or the faces have been pitted at all. But anyway, let's get all these gapped properly, and I'll come back and let you know what the others are like. I haven't looked at the inlet yet. Always do the exhaust first. It's a bit more fiddly with the oil cooler in the way, but there's no need to remove the oil cooler. You can get at it pretty well. Right, tappet's done and covers on and all buttoned up. Firm, but not too much, because if you over tighten these centre sort of pillar bolts, you can crack the covers. So just be a bit careful. The inlets were just as tight as the exhausts. So that's the valves settling in on the seats following the head rebuild a little while ago. Don't think it was too drastic, but it was wrong. So that's that sorted out. The oil's finished draining, so I've taken the sump plate off. The gauze filter is clear, there's no metal particles on that at all. Nothing sinister, just a bit of silt in the bottom of that, so the plate will clean that up and put that back on with new gaskets. 2 gaskets on this, one either side of the gauze filter plate. Sump plate back on and all tightened up, and just draining the residual out of the oil tank now. And once that's drained off, we'll take the gauze filter fully out. Just check that's okay too. But just while we're here, just remember that when you're putting the sump plate back on, there it is. This can be put on the wrong way round, so the oil pickup is at the back. So you've got to make sure that the gauze filter hole is at that end, and also with respect to the sump plate itself, there's more of a depression at this end to collect the oil underneath the scavenge pipe. So don't put that on the wrong way around. It has been known. Right, we'll wait for that to drain off. As I say, we'll check the gauze filter, and then we'll put that back and put oil straight in before I forget, because that's another great trick. And then that's the sort of filthy side done. We'll go on to checking the points. Correction, that's not the dirty side done. I've got the full flow oil filter check inside there. Now, I did change that not that long ago, so we'll just make sure there's nothing going untoward in there, but I'll probably use the same filter, but we'll undo that in a sec. Right, that's the oil tank filter and drain back in, and bloody hell, there was more in the tank than I thought there would be. Between that and the sump, that's two full cartons. Sounds a bit much to me, but anyway, we'll be putting the correct amount back in because we've got a dipstick on the oil tank cap. So I'll just empty this out, and then we'll put it underneath the full flow oil filter cap under there, and we'll take that out and have a look. And because that cap is right over a frame tube and cables and stuff, there's no way you can avoid getting oil all over the damn place. Okay, let's dump this before it goes all over the garage floor. Right, there it is lurking in there. Got its cap off. Not too much oil came out. Let's grab the hook. If I can do that one-handed through the camera lens. Haha. And I can actually, no, I cannot. Got it. I mean, it's a bit tight. Something's holding it up. I'll bring you back. Well, for those of you screaming at me saying, don't be so bloody lazy, do it properly and change the full flow filter, well, I'm going to have to. I just couldn't get it out by gently pulling it and twisting it. I had to get a bit radical. What it was sticking to, I have no idea. But certainly this end, which would be the far end, maybe it's ballooned out a little bit, I don't know. But anyway, we got it out. And the bad news is that I thought I had one in stock and I haven't. So I've had to order one. Hopefully it'll be here in a day or two. Let's see if I can do this by bending down. I've wiped out that the chamber several times. I can't feel any burrs or anything. There's nothing in there. There's a little bit of oil in there now. So that's a bit of a mystery. Wasn't having any problem with oil pressure or anything like that when the bike was running. So we'll wait for a new filter and put that in. But that does mean now I can't fill the tank because that will all pour out of there. So we'll put that to one side. So what I've done in the meantime is I've adjusted the points gaps. They needed a little bit of adjustment, but nothing drastic. And also what I've done on the other side is put a new plug cap on. I'll probably put new plugs in as I've got them in stock. So that will sort that out. Check the wiring up the top here, we're all good. We will run the bike up without the points cover on just to make sure we're not getting any excess sparks from bad condensers. I don't think so. And then rear chain, that's good, sort of 3/4 of an inch. Not bad at all. So that's good. Rear brake adjustment's pretty good. As I say, I really haven't done too many miles since we did the reborn top end rebuild on it when I did a lot of checking around. I'll check the clutch and the front brake adjustment, but I think front brake is okay. But it works well, but it's a bit spongy, this cable, because I don't know if any of you will realise or can see that this is not such a heavy duty cable as was originally spec'd. That's the wrong cable for a start, it's this one. Should be a bit heavier duty than that. It works okay. I think this is a Baxter cable. So yeah, a bit spongy, but the brake does work well and the forks will dive on this bike. And the key to that is the adjustment on the verniers. And you can see those brake arms are not parallel, just slightly apart. So that's pretty perfect, really. Good. Anything else to consider? The cables are all nice and free, but I might drop a little bit of oil in them. Wheel alignment I could check, I suppose, but the tyre's not running on anything. Need to do the tyre pressures, check round nuts and bolts. Just a good look around the bike, really. One thing I did notice was that the bike, when I brought it into the garage a few months ago, I nearly dropped it, and it leant on me, and while I sat down, I bent the tab on the petrol tap, but it works all right. Scarring. So, next thing probably to do is I'll put the points. No, I'm not going to put the points cover back on until we fire it up. Can't fire it up until put the oil in. I suppose we could get the key and check the battery. That might be a little low, and we could always put the charger on that. Let's have a check. Battery had a little bit of charge in it, but was very low, so I've got the charger on it. I usually just put the positive onto a good part of the frame or engine somewhere, and then just take the fuse out and connect the negative side of the battery lead from the fuse there. So that works quite well. So this normally charges at up to, well, I can do it up to 8 amps, but 2 amps I normally charge it at. And it's a bit low at the minute because it'll gradually wind itself up as it gets to understand where the battery is. Right, okay. What else was I going to show you? Oh yes. So this is, you're not going to see this very well. There we go. Tiny little drill bit that I use just to check that the pilot jets are clear, so I've done that. The pilot jet screws were all over the place, but that's because I was messing about when the bike was running before and running terribly, trying to understand where the pilot jets were blocked or there was some other issue. So anyway, I've set them all up with the pilot air screws out one turn, which is probably a little on the rich side, but I usually start there anyway. So I think that's where we are for now, pending us receiving a full flow oil filter or two. So if we just check back on the list, so we're doing effectively a 2000. Nuts and bolts have checked round, contact breaker gap done. Oh, I haven't checked the auto advance mechanism. Rear chain brake adjustment spark. I haven't done the timing actually, but then I did that probably about 300 miles ago. We need to lubricate the contact breaker cam, so we'll do that now. And the auto advance. We need to check oil in the transmission case. Oh yes, we do. By that it means gearbox. Lubricate brake pedal pivot. Lubricate exposed cables. Grease rear swinging arm pivot. Grease central stand. Oh, okay, we'll do some greasing. Lubricate clutch cable. Okay. First of all then, let's do the felts and just check the auto advance. Now to check the auto advance, that's easy because you can just put screwdriver in the slot and just make sure that moves, which it does. And then what we can do, First of all, let's get some light on the subject. Drop in there. Just 1 or 2 drops on each of the felts. Okay, that should do that. Right, we'll get the old grease gun out. There's the rear brake spindle grease nipple. Just pumped, giving it a couple of pumps on the end of the flexible hose of the grease gun. I'll pull that gently in a minute, and I'll go around the other side and I'll show you that it says grease the speedo drive, which is probably a good idea, although it's probably full. And speedo drive on the right hand side has just got a grease nipple just there. There it is. So we'll give that a couple of pumps, and then the main stand doesn't have any grease nipples, so it'll be a case of sticking your finger in there and giving it some. Right, job done. So tidied up a bit. And we'll leave it there. We've got the battery on charge. Amp's trying to go up slowly, which is good. That's what we want. Can't put the oil in it yet until we get the full flow oil filter. I've done the grease points. We'll leave that cover off so we can check there's no significant arcing when we fire the bike up. The spark plugs aren't in it yet either, because I want to kick it over easily to get the oil circulating properly before we fire it up. Not strictly necessary, but I like to do that. So we're just about done, really. So what I'll do is bring you back in a day or two. Hopefully by then we'll have the full flow oil filter. We'll get that in, finish bits off, and then we'll fire her up and see how she is. See if we've started to correct some of the issues we had before the service. All right, we'll leave it there, everybody. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks for any comments and subscriptions. And I'll see you all again very soon. Cheers.